Evidence. Tonight, see what truly exists inside the world of the paranormal. Inside. Join the discussion and review some of the best paranormal evidence captures from a wide variety of experienced and up-and-coming investigators. See and hear what they capture, where they captured it, and how they captured it. Right now on Entity Voices Paranormal Evidence.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Entity Voices Paranormal Evidence. I'm Chris.
I'm Audra.
I'm neither, but this is Sheree.
Oh. And this is Lourdes.
And this is surprising that you guys got goofy before it got to me. I'm Christoph Allgod. I got nothing else. You guys just ran with it. Good to be back.
Good to be back.
Very good to be back.
Good
Happy
to be back.
Monday!
Hey.
Monday.
Oh,
Hey, I didn't say it because we're not allowed.
she said
Oh.
it.
Right? That's rule
You know
number
what?
one. Well,
I'm on the fringe because today was actually a pretty good day. I wouldn't call it a happy Monday because those two words do not go together. But for a Monday, it kind of rocked.
Oh, there you go. Positivity.
Yeah.
Positivity.
It was
Why
good.
did it rock, Mr. Rathman?
Oh, we got some opportunities that appeared for some of the stuff that we're working on
Good.
above and beyond what we were working on before that might really be beneficial to getting out in a timely manner and a professional manner. So we'll see what happens.
yeah.
You could not
And
have
we
said
saved
that more
50%.
freaking vague.
And we saved 15% on our car insurance.
That
That happened.
Yeah, unfortunately, I kind of have to be vague at the moment because it's just conversation at the moment.
Yeah, and we don't like conversation. That's why we do a show.
Roger.
We hate conversation.
Best part of Monday right here.
Woohoo!
It is. It is
Look
the
at
only
that.
part.
Thank you, Roger.
I know, that was very sweet.
I know.
Hey, Roger, should we ask if you can communicate with spirit?
Is that our Roger?
Yeah.
Oh,
Roger that.
okay. I didn't even know his
Roger that.
last name.
Roger Dodger.
It just says Roger M or what, Roger.
Roger.
Where'd it go? Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, that's Roger.
Okay. Hi, Roger.
So, you guys do anything exciting this weekend?
Wow.
We did.
Rathman's first. Yeah.
We did the Globe Paracon
Yes.
and we spoke on Staticom and we gave I don't know, it was pretty short during the speech, maybe 10-minute
Yeah.
demonstration. And then we investigated the courthouse again.
Yeah.
And even though there were maybe 10 or 12 people there,
Yeah. Most probably. Yeah.
they had the ability to literally go anywhere they wanted within the boundaries, but to investigate however they wanted. All of them sat in the room we were running Staticom the entire night because
It's awesome.
the responses were fantastic.
Yeah.
It ran quiet. The voices were clear as can be. It was amazing.
Yeah.
It really was.
Yeah.
Get used to it.
Yay. That's great.
Get used to it. That happens when we go to events and we start running it and people see the real-time open line dialogue that oftentimes unfolds. And it's like, you want to put a REM pod on the stairway or do you want to keep talking?
Yeah.
Exactly.
What's good about it too, because all these people, like, they really participate and
Right.
ask about their loved ones and they get some responses. It's amazing.
The responses were English,
In Spanish.
Spanish. The guy asked his question in Spanish. The whole the whole conversation shut off, and every response after that was in Spanish. And
Right.
we didn't. I don't know Spanish enough to be able to tell what was being said, but he asked his question. A response came through. Was not English. He responded again. A response came through. He responded the third time, and then we said, I'm assuming you're good. He goes, oh yeah, I got my answers. It was so cool.
It's awesome. And it's, the feeling of, helping other people to reach out with their loved ones.
Like you guys said,
awesome.
Is amazing.
Yeah. That's how we birthed the Digital Seance Initiative, was to get that closed focus sitting, like Marcello Bacci did. And interestingly, when we did the Speedwell Village with Rich Michelle and NJPP, and Anthony Simonelli was with us, Lourdes every so often tried to steer it back to questions about the history there. That's where Morse code was birthed, was at Speedwell Village in that area of Morristown. And the family that was there, the Vale family, and everybody just wanted the loved ones. And they got responses like that too. But we couldn't steer them away from it. And we went, it's their dime, it's their experience.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And when you can have them walk away with feeling like they truly got something personal from it, or information, or see their eyes light up and their mouth drop open because of what they heard, that's incredible.
Yeah, there's no better aspect. It's the best part about it. It's the best part.
It absolutely.
We didn't do a lot. We didn't do a lot this weekend. We worked on some of the stuff for the Staticom project, because Tony and Cherie were out wowing them live and in person. We tried to do
what you guys did was great.
Yeah.
Absolutely great.
You left big shoes to fill, and you know how tall I am, so I tried.
You filled them perfectly. We love it. We absolutely love what you did.
That's fantastic.
And then Christoph and Alice in Wonderland.
We didn't do shit.
We went
Well, Audra went in peeking. Chris just loaded and tied down the shit she bought.
True.
Awesome.
Can we reveal the plans that happened last night?
Yeah, let's do that at the end.
Sure, yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you guys did something the weekend. We all talked.
Should we do it now and make the rest of the show about our guest, or should we do it at the end?
Yeah, let's do it at the end. All right, instead of keeping them waiting.
I like the way Ron's thinking, because that makes all of our viewers excited about our announcement. They got to watch the whole damn show now.
Yeah,
There you go.
20% on our car insurance. 20%.
20%. All right, we'll announce it at the end.
Cool. Thank you, Roger. Appreciate that. Chris, you'll bring him in as always, because you do an amazing job anchoring the show. But I wanted to say that we were excited about this show tonight, because this tonight's guest, Matthew Jackson of Paraholics, is a guy that we've had a chance to talk to. I've interacted with him for a while now, and if you don't know him, just in a small summary, this is the kind of guy, in whatever field you're in, you want people like this doing what you're doing, to identify what you do to other people, to be a figurehead for it, for quality of work and personality. Just a really down to earth, cool guy. He does great work. He did a series called Cabin Sessions, which I really enjoyed. And he's passionate. He's wholeheartedly passionate about ITC. And so you combine that with the type of person, I think that's, if you learn anything from him and from the show tonight, to learn to be that way too. I think the more people we can get in the field like that, the better. He's just a good guy.
That's awesome.
With no further ado, everybody say hello to Matthew.
Hello, Matthew.
Hey guys.
Hey,
Matthew.
How's it going?
Welcome to the show.
Good. How are you
Thank
doing?
you. Doing all right. Just sitting down here by myself like a loser and look at you guys. Yeah,
We're exactly the same.
And yes,
Exactly.
everybody that's watching, Matthew was allowed. The guards came in, gave him a camera. He's allowed to be on the show.
3 hots and a cot, man. That's all you
That's
need.
right. He gave up his conjugal visit to be on EVPE.
Everett, another glorious beard. I love it.
He
He's allowed to be on the show, but he's not allowed a window.
That's
Is he in a basement?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I am.
Yes.
He's in the paranormal protection program. We're not allowed to say.
Paranormal.
Uh,
The scary thing is that was Roger confirming that we weren't just kind of sugarcoating the truth, and you want to make sure that you were out.
I'm in Ron's basement.
Yeah.
All right, Matthew. Every time we have somebody new on the show, we ask you to tell our viewers what got you hooked on the paranormal.
What got me hooked, like experience-wise, or what really like said, "Wow, this is something I'm going to pursue."
What was
The catalyst?
The catalyst to you getting started in it.
Yeah, what got you into it?
It was probably when I was at a friend's house, and something whispered. And this is before I was interested in ghosts and before it was really on my radar. But I was at a friend's house who he had told me his house was haunted, and I didn't necessarily believe in that sort of thing, nor did I really believe him, because he was that one buddy that just kind of bounced all over the place with his ADD. And so when he told me his house was haunted, it's like, sure. And anyway, I was at his house one night and something whispered in my ear and then chucked a glass of water up at me. I, of course, always joke and say it was out my head, but it threw a glass of water at me and I got wet. I screamed. He said, "That's just the ghost. That kind of stuff happens all the time." And I left. And that really piqued my curiosity. And so after I calmed down after a few days, I got a hold of him and we started talking about it. And that's when he told me about the history of the property. And it was a place where somebody was murdered back in 1970. And it's a famous unsolved murder here in the state of Indiana. And what really kind of keyed me into the whole thing is that the guy who committed the murder was a personal friend of my grandfather's.
Oh, wow.
So,
wow.
Yeah. So me being a curious person and so forth, it really sent me like, reading and studying like what makes a ghost and trying to figure out that formula and just see if there's any rhyme or reason to any of it. So that was back in 2003. And I've been, dabbling at some level ever since. But I started actively investigating in like 2008.
Wow.
Fantastic.
Cool.
That's very cool. That's another one of those examples. We've had this happen before where the guest was somebody who was so knee deep and passionate about pursuing it now, but the experience that first hit them absolutely triggers the fight or flight instinct where you could have just been like, I don't want nothing to do with this. I'm buying rosary beads. I'm subscribing to every religion on the planet. But you went, no, I'm going to buy ghost boxes and gear, and I'm going to go in the basement. I'm going to talk to them.
Well,
it worked.
I always
And it
feel that when you're not looking for an experience and it happens, that tends to make probably a bigger psychological impact on someone versus someone who saw a TV show and put themselves in that type of environment hoping for something to happen. So I think if I was looking for it, I may have had a different outcome. But since it just literally fell in my lap, it really got my attention, and I've been trying to sort things out ever since. And guess what? I know less now than what I did back then.
You know what? I've actually seen people that had experiences like you that turned around and went looking for it. It's those people that have never had that experience and they go to someplace like Trans-Allegheny and they go, oh shit. Those are the people that run and never come back because they weren't expecting to find what they were looking for. And when it smacks them in the face like a 2x4, it scares the hell out of them. But with somebody that, you didn't even think, oh, ghost my ass. And then all of a sudden, that's what makes you chase it, in my opinion. It's those people that go looking for it that get smacked in the face that run.
I think Matthew made a great point for the springboard for a lot of people who get into this stuff. Because a lot of people, I don't want to mention any names, but let's say that rhymes with Roni Taffman. Who didn't, did I do that good? That was pretty good. I tried. Who didn't believe in?
I don't think anyone will pick up on it.
Nobody got it, no. Right? But you were somebody who didn't buy into the paranormal either. You're like, oh, none of this stuff, the TV stuff, or like that. And I think what Matthew brings up is a great point because when your core beliefs and your belief systems are kind of in chill mode, and then something dents it or penetrates it a little bit, it has, I think, more of a profound impact than when if you're looking for something, you may step back and go, well, I don't know, is that still me? That's what I think.
Yeah.
I think that's an important part of what he brought up.
I had an experience probably about 7-8 years before that one where I saw a hand mirror get thrown in a hair salon that flew across the room like a frisbee, and you know, I witnessed it as well did the business owner. She saw it as well. The mirror was sitting flat on a tabletop and went across the room and landed probably about 10 feet from where it was, and that was startling. I think I was more confused in that moment than like scared or thinking anything about it being paranormal. But she's the one who was like, "Oh yeah, anyone who's worked here long enough thinks this place is haunted." And I think I was very dismissive of that moment, as weird as it was. But it didn't occur to me later that was probably my first experience with something unexplainable.
Yeah. There's always two types of stories when you ask somebody how they got into the paranormal. It either started when they were super young and they were seeing things and hearing things their whole life, and then that drove them into trying to find answers. And the other one is the people who are like, no, didn't believe it, and then they get smacked by an experience that just throws their complete thinking, their outlook on what happened out the window, and makes them reevaluate it.
Kind of like you used to be a skeptic person.
When she brought home that first evidence, for months I tried to debunk all of it, and I couldn't. And that's how we got started.
Wow.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Well,
that's really cool.
Matthew has given us some great clips. Matthew is heavy into ITC.
Yeah.
So we've got one from a haunted location, which I think I'd put up first. And then we've got 10 from Matthew of him in his little bunker doing his ITC like Ron and Tony and Cherie and Lourdes do, where they sit in their little bunkers or their houses and just do the experiments and get a lot of good responses. So we'll start with that first one from the haunted location. We'll go ahead and show it, and then you can talk to us about it, Matthew.
Okay.
All right, here we go. I think this is the right one.
What color's my shirt? Can you complete this sequence? 1, 2, 3, 4. Can you complete this sequence? LMNO.
Okay, that wasn't it. That was the one Chris snafu for the show.
Yeah. What it was mirrored on my end. I didn't send them like that.
All of them that you sent came through like that for some reason.
Weird. Okay. Huh. I don't know why.
Well, what do you see on your end? Is that what our viewers are seeing?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, I'm seeing like half the screen doubled.
Yeah, it's somehow mirrored. The evidence mirrored itself. There's only one. It's not. There's
Weird. Everyone needs to cross their eyes while we watch these clips,
oh yes,
and it'll fix it.
or do this.
Get the goggles, the VR goggles.
3D.
Yeah, that was a clip from my one of my cabin sessions. I called the weirdo edition, where I decided, it never really occurred to me to do like controlled sessions until COVID, because guess what? I couldn't really go anywhere else. Mm-hmm. And so, down here in my little bunker, radio signals, everything's pretty limited. And I came across a couple of my boxes that seemed to connect at some level. So I did one series of cabin sessions. Then I just decided to do another where I just ask every weird question I could think of. Everything from, theologic, ideas to, from Christianity and so forth to, just strange stuff like who built the pyramids, why, and, fun stuff like Atlantis and Bigfoot and aliens. I mean, I went down like as many rabbit holes as I could, because my whole idea was, after a series of so many weeks, I wanted to see if there's any consistencies to the responses that I received. And I found it interesting, the things that would, some of the questions they would answer versus the ones that they wouldn't, or they would ignore or tell me to not ask again. So I was trying to build like a body of work, doing the cabin sessions by doing that. And so, yeah. And so with the clip you just showed, that's where I was just asking them to complete some sequences. At first I did like, part of the alphabet, and then I did numbers. And, one of the responses there was like, something like, we forget counting, which I thought was really interesting, because I have other clips where they did count, but that time they were like, nah, we don't like math. But most of my cabin sessions, a lot of the interactions I had were very, very conversational, which was really interesting to me, how we almost had like a relaxed, friendly vibe going, and in spite of all the different personalities that would come through, which some weren't nice, some were very friendly. So it was a fun, interesting experiment, and it kind of relates into what I'm working on right now, which is the slaughter sessions with April Slaughter, which is all about right now Skinwalker Ranch. So that's been a lot of fun. Yeah.
Ooh, Skinwalker Ranch.
Oh, that's very cool. I like how you mentioned the impacts of COVID, because a lot of people who were traditionally ghost hunters were online just with withdrawal, going, I can't wait till stuff opens. Well, I'll wear 18 masks and a hoodie. I need to get out somewhere, And we were doing just more sittings per week than we were already doing once a week for the 2 years before that even started. And it spoiled me to the point that when I would go out in the field, I would almost enjoy it less sometimes, because I didn't have the same control of the environment and everything that we had when we were here.
Right. Yeah, it was really eye-opening and astonishing for me, because you typically think, you kind of romanticize this idea when it comes to this type of work. Like, I'm going to go to a place with, tragic history, and that's that area contains the haunting. And so you go to the haunted location, you talk to the ethereal presences that are there. And then when, during COVID, you're not going anywhere, you sit down in your dark basement and you flip on some machines, and next thing you know, you start having conversations. A, maybe I went a little crazy, but B, it just really kind of showed that when it comes to whatever consciousnesses that we can tap into, whether it relates to the location or not, it just doesn't seem to, matter. So it really kind of made me think about things ethically, especially taking ITC experiments into residential cases. And it really kind of just expanded my awareness and in the way that I think about these things in general. So it's been a neat ride.
So doing the work at home, before you started doing it at home, were you having paranormal activities? And then after you started doing it at home, did you start getting paranormal activity?
Because of the sessions?
Yeah.
Well, there were a few moments during my cabin sessions where there were some pretty big bangs. And there's even one clip that I sent you guys that for some reason I started asking about Mothman. Well, I know the reasons because I'm weird, but I started asking about Mothman. But I had these little fairy lights strung up in here, the red glow from just to provide a little bit of light. And these things are just on like batteries. They're not plugged into the wall or anything like that. And I start asking about Mothman, and all of a sudden those lights go really bright. I was like, oh shit, here we go.
You're not supposed to be able to fly your ass into my basement. You stay out.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't think my cabin is haunted, but I do think that there have been some things that have followed me home, and I definitely think that when you turn the light on, you're going to draw some things to you. But I think that it gets bored enough; it doesn't stick around too long. So, yeah, I don't think my cabin really had much to do with it versus just my intention,
Right.
Yeah, for sure. After a while, you come to, I think Tony and Cherie came to the same conclusion doing stuff at home, is you land at the ineffable fact that it is not a haunted location that is the precursor or the necessity to get anomalous voices. We always say we won't consider a location haunted purely on the strength of getting anomalous voices, because we can get them anywhere. I've seen some of your cabin sessions. They were fantastic. I think that's a really logical and reasonable conclusion to draw at that point when you did all those sittings, and still we're yielding stuff, like you said, very conversational. You created trends in the data where you were getting certain answers, and that's, to me, that's huge. It's a big discovery.
I'm working on a blog piece right now, Ron, that I'll probably ask you to put some input into at some point. But I'm calling it how to build a haunted house, and it's basically an argument or some standards that people need to think about when they're doing residential cases. Like you go into somebody's house, they have these haunted claims. You set your meters everywhere, nothing goes off. You do multiple EVP sessions, you get no EVPs. But guess what? You turn on a broken radio or an ITC app, and you're going to hear something. So how much credibility can you really put into that type of evidence if that's the only thing that you can prove or give to the homeowner to tell them that their house is quote unquote haunted, or that's a legitimate claim that they have, where in reality, like we know, we can get these voices anywhere. So it's the idea of laying the foundation and cooperative type of experiences and being able to capture those experiences, and then you have a little bit more of a ground to stand on when you do get something through our ITC devices. So
it puts the responsibility on the operator to know the difference between evidence and results, because results is when the device gives you something. Evidence is when it's something that's substantial, that's got timing, relevance, and it's pertinent to what's going on. An obelisk will give you results all night. It's not all evidence.
Yep, absolutely.
The other point to what you were saying, Matthew, was absolutely right on target. But when we first started doing EVPs and got into ITC, we didn't have the understanding that those voices weren't coming from the location we were standing in. That took years to be able to come to that conclusion. But you're spot on with that answer, because they're not contained to the location. And getting voices responding to your questions in an intelligent manner does not mean the location you're standing in is haunted, because like you said, we can get those from anywhere. But it's those pieces of the puzzle from combined interaction of paranormal investigators out there saying, well, I was in this house, but in your example of the home investigation, they have the claims, things are going on, but just because you're getting responses to voices doesn't back up their claim, or doesn't support the claim that that particular location is truly haunted. So
yes, absolutely.
And to add credence to that, Matthew, so Audra and I come from it from a metaphysical side. We're not into the heavy ITC stuff and the Staticom and the DVR like the rest of the guys are. We're sensitive, so we're into the metaphysical portion of it. And this adds credence, and I love working with this team because it adds credence to when we talk to private homeowners and people that ask us why we do what we do. And I try to explain to them that they say, why is my house haunted? Well, it's not necessarily your house. The world is haunted. People just don't realize it. Because it just goes to the credence that what I tell these homeowners is God gives us free will. Free will is a conscious state. It's not a physical portion of your body. And you take that with you when you leave. So your free will is to go and come and communicate in any form or fashion you want to from anywhere you're at. And just because you're hearing those voices doesn't mean they're here. They can be, and what you guys are doing just backs up what we've been talking about for a long time now. So
that's I agree with all that. Tony's spot on too. Non-locality of spirit, what Tony mentioned, is not something any of us knew out of the gate. It's not what we learned from TV. Yeah. It's not something you find out until you start experiencing more and more. And it is, I think, what Matthew said. I do think it's a consciousness that we're communicating with. And one of the odd things, and I've had conversations with Tony about this before, is that free will is something that we never actually experience. We have it, but you have the premeditated state of free will. Then once you've made the decision, you immediately are experiencing the effects of the choice, but you never actually bask in a moment of free will, which is an interesting thing when you look at consciousness, because it is not a state of being. It is the inertia behind movement of mind, which is the functionality of consciousness.
Yep.
Well said. Well said.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, that when we first start out, I think we all, like I said, that romanticized idea. So
Yeah.
it's just something that you learn through experience. So that's why I think it's important that your guys' show and the messages I'm trying to get out there, that because so many people are dismissive of ITC anyway, and for people to learn how discerning that we try to be, and how much credibility we try to build for ITC being legitimate. I think it kind of helps dismiss some of the silliness that we get blamed for, even when it's not warranted. So
yeah, which most of the time it isn't.
Yep.
Right.
Most of the time it isn't.
All right, we've got some more clips from Matthew. This one is probably the only one that's not mirrored.
Talking about Roger.
Oh, yeah, he's talking about Roger, or they're talking about Roger.
Sorry,
So,
Roger.
I know it's frustrating for you, Matthew, that your evidence came through this way, but I think it's great for our audience because they actually get to hear it raw they can't read your phrases that you put down at the bottom. So they get to hear it raw. They actually get to hear it with their own ears instead of reading it on the screen and having some asshole out there go, it's all audio pareidolia, but screw them.
Yeah, but now I have to listen.
It's like, damn it, not
This is crap, man.
So here's I think the only clip that's not mirrored from what it looks like. Yeah, it is. So let's go ahead and play this one.
Give me a number on here. 1 through 6. So that on 6? Let's go. You said 6, right? Here we go. Landed on 6. Who's this handsome fella? I think you just said it. All right, one last question. Can you tell me who sent me this card? We're going to shut down now. You ready to find all the messages?
Wow,
That was awesome. That was awesome.
We hate you. Just kidding.
Yeah.
Steve Halte was amazing. That was really cool.
So I first off, I want to say that all my cabin sessions for the weirdo edition, I did everything was reverse speech. So I used my RCA box from Halte Paranormal with the reverse speech added to it, which is one of my favorite boxes that I have. And so I tried to incorporate every week. It kind of grew. I kept hooking more and more things together just to see if it would make any type of impact or influence. But at the end of every session, I would always do like 3 rolls with a die. And then I'd also do 3 draws from a tarot card deck. And of course, my intentions were, especially like the tarot cards, for me not to know the answer, so I couldn't influence maybe any type of result. So I was trying to take myself out of the equation as much as possible. Same with the die roll. I wanted to see if there's any way that they could, get any glimpse into the future, as brief as it may be, just to see how accurate those guesses might be. And it became so funny to me, like week after or month after month of doing the cabin sessions, how they really didn't want to answer my questions. There's just so many times they would say, roll dice, play cards. And so I think I'm going to do like a whole series of cabin sessions where I'm going to call it the ITC Casino. And I'm just going to come up with a bunch of games just to see what kind of interaction I might get, because they seem to be very excited about that part of the, they definitely didn't like talking about Bigfoot, but they definitely like playing cards and rolling dice. So it was kind of an interesting part. So, and there at the end with the picture of Steve Holte, and then the card that was sent to me by April Slaughter. I mean, just amazing to me.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Here.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, that's really good.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And how amazing is it that a Holte box says Steve Holte?
I know.
They're programmed.
Yeah, they all do it.
They all
they're
do it.
known to do that. I've heard it. I don't know how many times. Ron has multiple of them, and he's like, "Who created this box?" Steve Holte.
The best part is for some reason the WeTransfer mirrored Matthew's evidence that he sent to me, but the one that says Steve Holte was the clear one.
Aliens.
Aliens. That's
Yeah,
Too
that's
bad
a
they
good box.
haven't joined yet. Too bad they haven't joined yet. They're usually here every week, and they would have seen that clip.
That's funny.
Yeah,
Let
They'll
me know
probably
if you like them. We'll play it again for them if they come on. All right, so here's the next one. The rest of them, unfortunately, Matthew, are mirrored,
That's fine.
but we'll get to see them raw, and it's still good stuff. So this next one's 352. We'll go ahead and play it. Here we go.
What's the future of mankind? What is the truth? What's the future of mankind? What is the truth?
That was clear.
It was clear.
Wow.
You didn't even need to put the words down there half cut off like that, Matthew.
Yeah, that deep voice. I jokingly started calling him Deep Throat because he came. Yeah. You're welcome. You're welcome, Chris. he started coming in through my cabin sessions. Actually, even before that, I started hearing this really deep voice that would come through on a regular basis, and he would always have this like super ominous, heavy message for me. And so when I asked the future of mankind, and that mankind is exhausted, I mean, that one hit me like a ton of bricks, because, you know, considering the past few years and just the way the zoo gates have been busted out, and we see crazy behaviors in society, it just really made a pretty, big impact with me. And then to have the little voice behind it that said "from demon," and it's just like, what? Who?
Yeah.
So I don't know what that really means, but interesting.
Yeah, really clear.
If you go back to biblical teachings and faith, they believe that eventually the apocalypse will hit, and it'll be a battle of angels versus demons, and who's going to be the winner. Maybe they just gave you the answer.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
And I kind of wondered, was that voice trying to tell me that was a demonic response, or is it something just, bigger than that about what's causing, behind things, So I don't know. Pretty fascinating though. That deep voice though is just, it's something I started asking about, later in the cabin sessions, like, who is this person? Can I talk to this person? Trying to draw them out more. So, maybe it's a moderator, technician. I don't know who that is.
And that voice was attainable even with different boxes, correct?
Yes, different boxes, even in different locations. So
that's important.
Yeah.
Well, it gives consistency in who's responding to you, and that's always a positive when you can hear a voice that's responding that you said, oh, this one spoke to me last time,
Yes,
the
yeah.
time before that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's important.
There were a few familiars that just seemed to keep popping up throughout the whole series,
Yeah, that's important though. For like Tony said, for the consistency of it, and then it for those who, and we mentioned them before, who perhaps bask in the glow of ignorance and don't understand exactly what it is you're doing and how. It stretches the lack of plausibility that they try to apply to this. That the same vocal tone, the same voice with the same message is coming through different boxes, different tuners, different times of day, at different random sweeps. I mean, there's so many variables involved. And then the one
Forward
thing
speech, reverse speech,
there you go.
all those things.
Exactly
Right.
my point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Consistency of data is reliability of data, and that's a smoking gun in what we're trying to do.
Yeah. Agreed.
I
It
would
depends
say
on if
that-
consciousnesses are off.
I would say I am a little bit. Yes, a little bit.
A little bit. Yes. To say she's a little sensitive is to say the Atlantic Ocean is wet.
And to answer Karen's question, yes, we Audra and I do a walkthrough of all the buildings. Sometimes I do it by myself, and we place our equipment where we feel the energy is at. And then 90% of the time, 99% of the time, I carry a flashlight, and that's about it. And that's just so I don't fall and bust my ass because I'm accident prone. So.
I can attest to that.
What, that I'm accident prone or I carry a flashlight?
Both.
But I can tell you what you do works. I mean, we've seen it. We've
Yeah.
seen how you zero in on. We've seen you say things before they've occurred. We've seen the proof of the spirits respond to what you just said, you felt, or however you get those messages. So it's very fascinating.
Yeah, and actually, that's a great tie-in question for Matthew, because you've had that experience with Chris and Audrey. You guys said a lot when you did Phelps Dodge. We've had that similarly with people we work with, like Anthony Simonelli, Richard Michelle, April Bissett, where we've had the mediums and we were able to corroborate evidence that was attained differently, even exclusive of each other. Matthew, how much, because your ITC work is deep, how much experience do you have with working with, say, with sensitives or mediums, where you guys came to the same evidence or the same names or specifics independent of each other?
I really have not had much of an opportunity to work with, mediums in person. I definitely have a few people that I've sent things to and questions and photos and so forth. And I've been astonished with some of the responses that I've gotten back, because it basically validated what I'd found. So never really, I wish I had someone that I could work with, like boots on the ground. But my limited experience, it's always been, via text and email and phone calls. But I do think that there's a way for both sides to definitely work together.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Gene's close with that too. That's one of the differences when people say isn't using a box or ITC the same as using a Ouija board. That's the difference. When you do a board or something, when your energy and your being is the channel, it's different. So I don't think it's a tool, but I think that the radio or the mechanism that's facilitating contact is in fact the medium.
Yeah. Well, and it's we've talked about this before. It's all energy based, whether it's coming through an ITC piece of equipment or through your Staticom equipment, or if it's coming through something that we pick up on a location. It's all energy based. You feel the vibrations.
Yeah.
It's
everything in the cosmos is energy. Every
Right.
single thing is energy and has a vibratory rate. So that's absolutely makes sense.
So
Yeah.
when people ask, how do you explain it? And Lourdes, you might agree with this too, since you're more sensitive than you'll admit, just like Audra. It's weird. The first energy you feel before you get in tune with where you're at, it's almost like a vibration. It's almost like standing next to an electrical box that's emanating too much EMF frequency, and you can actually feel the energy. It's the same thing, but there's nothing there causing it physically in the world that we're in, and you sense it, you pick it up, and that's how you respond.
Who was it? Was it Karen in the chat a minute ago that said Matthew is sensitive?
Yes.
How much would you attest to that, Matthew? How much do you think you, as the operator, are also an integral part of the whole cog of the whole thing?
That's yet to be determined. I've had some moments, but I'm not really comfortable with that side of all this. But I do know that you've been around the energy enough, you definitely begin to recognize it. So I definitely get some vibes at times where I know I'm not hearing radio chatter. I know something different is happening. Gene, you can't hurt his feelings. Can we block that guy? No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. No, so yeah, I always, it seems like such a cop out by saying you can tune your ear to these devices, but there is something different about when things are connecting, and sometimes I feel like I know what the box is going to say, and which is kind of startling at times when that happens.
Yeah, that's collective consciousness. Yeah.
And your statement about having to tune your ear to the box, that is absolutely accurate.
Yep.
That is why, I remember years ago pulling some of the best, clearest Class A EVPs I had ever caught. And they jump out to you like just normal voice. But play it for somebody who's never even listened to an EVP. And they'll turn around and go, I didn't hear anything. I just hear clicks and pops. And it's like, what? But there is a tuning both mentally and to your ear, because their speech patterns aren't the same as how humans speak. The pauses, the way they break words up, there's a huge variance in the two. And if you've never heard it, it does sound like, but once you learn to hear it, you can't miss it.
Well, and I always tell people, it's like, here's an experiment we can all try. Let's all sing Blinded by the Light and see if we get those lyrics correctly. We've heard the song a million times, but are we going to get it right? I doubt it. So, if people can listen to music and butcher the lyrics to a song, it doesn't surprise me that they could listen to a recording from an ITC device and mishear or not hear anything as well. So, I mean, it does take patience to learn to work with all those,
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. Now, that's the one thing you learn from karaoke is the only thing that's worse than someone who can't sing is someone who can't read. That's important.
Or somebody that's dyslexic.
Yeah. But no, you're right though, and Tony really summed it up well. There is something in studies of consciousness called inborn pattern recognition. We learn that way, which is difficult with how he described. The cadences are different, the variances that there are. But if you visually and audibly, that's how we learn consciously. If you got into like a helicopter and flew over a landscape, you wouldn't recognize anything. And then you did a second and third pass, you'd start picking up points of references. You'd start being able to put something together that would even stick with you. That's part of how we learn the patterns. And these are definitely not patterns that we have audibly that are engendered in anything we've learned before. So you do have to kind of figure it out as you go. Yeah.
Well, and don't discount, Matthew, that you might be a little bit sensitive too, because that'll give you more of a keen ear sometimes with the ITC stuff or anything else, looking for evidence, reviewing evidence, stuff like that. That'll also tune you in a little bit more too. Right. And you make a valid point to where you say you haven't dove into that yet because you're not sure if you want to. It's I can tell you, and I've told many people this that we've worked with, that, hey, I'm sensitive. What do you think? And I tell them, don't open yourself up unless you're ready to face the scariest shit you've ever possibly imagined. Because you're going to come across a location where that's going to hit you in the face. And if you're not ready for it, but don't discount that the fact that you might be a little bit sensitive. That'll tune your ear really well too when you're doing the ITC stuff. So don't discount that at all. So
it's amazing some of the things that I've been able to hear that I don't think I would have otherwise. As far as like being very disciplined in this, and sometimes responses just jump out that I think a lot of people would definitely miss. So
Yeah. You got a lot of time in the bank doing this. There's no mistaking that experience, not just from an operator, but from an observer, has to have an impact. You have a good connection, and then you're starting to become familiar with what you're hearing more. And I guarantee you'll continue to get better at it because you really put the time in.
Yep.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
That's a key aspect, is the time. You can't. I don't care who made the spirit box. I don't care what type it is, how it functions or operates, whether it's forward, reverse, scan, whatever. There's a million variables. I don't care what it is. It's the time you put into it and that's why any investigator always has a favorite device or a favorite box, or a favorite spirit box, because it's what they get tuned to. But that's also why then the spirits respond with that one, because they know it's your favorite one and that you expect those answers to come through. But I remember hearing the very first time, 12 years ago or 13 years ago, whatever that was, we got the first SB7.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I think I heard something. But, after messing with it, 3, 4, 5 times a week, I remember coming up to Sheree and I said, do you realize there is an answer to almost every question we ask, but it's hidden in the static? And that's what started the whole ITC building for us, because I knew they were there. They just were on the SB7 super hard to hear. But yeah, that was part of the time you put into it.
The moths and the mothmans,
Apparently.
which takes a lot of mothballs.
A lot of mothballs.
Really quick. UNX is going to switch over to the next audio program in about 4 minutes, guys, but we're going to continue live on Facebook and YouTube, so stick around to see the rest of Matthew's evidence and to hear us talk about mothballs. Speaking of balls, I want to give credit to Matthew. You can tell this guy has cojones big enough to pull a dump truck. Not haul it in the dump truck, but to pull the whole damn dump truck. The guy's sitting in a dungeon by himself talking to spirits, and he's excited about it. That is a paranormal researcher right there.
He's the real deal, man. That's what I've been telling. He's the real deal. He does the work the right way. He does it for the right reasons. He's not self-aggrandizing. He's part of the community. He supports other people. He listens to other people. He offers to other people. That's how somebody in the community who's actually looking for answers and research, that's how they operate. That's as much a lesson as how to use any of the devices, to me.
Right.
Good point.
I appreciate that, Ron, and that's something that I've worked hard to do, because this network I'm trying to build amongst ITC practitioners and device builders. It's not been by mistake. I want to create a network of people that I can learn from and people I consider my friends. So to be able to contact the builders, or to pick somebody's brain like Ron or whomever, really helps motivate me. So it keeps me going. So I really appreciate any opportunity I get like this, just to make new friends and to keep exploring,
So let's see a little bit more of Matthew's ITC and his dungeon with his cojones. So here we go.
His cojones.
Michael Jackson, someone confused with weird. Okay. That's Everett. All right. Here you go.
Tell me what I'm going to roll. Tell me what I'm going to roll. Give me a number. Give me a number. Here we go. 6. So 2 more times. Ready? Here we go. Tell me what I'm going to roll.
All right.
Wow.
I have one question. Were you rolling 1 dice or 2? Because I heard the response of 8 come through 3 times in that clip.
Yeah, I would reiterate because I'm only rolling one die. I would always say 1 through 6, and somebody usually would say 7.
Yeah, I heard 8. I heard the answer 8 every time you said, "What number am I going to roll?" 8.
That was Yakovetti from New Jersey, is what that was.
Yeah, because he's in the basement.
Yeah,
That was
he heard the same.
Was that the RCA Super Radio?
Yes. Yeah.
I know the sound of the sweep, man. It's smooth.
Yeah. All these are. I think except for the one in the cemetery.
Very nice. Yeah, I can tell the sound.
Yeah, and I think that one they guessed the number right. They got the 6, I think both times. And but interestingly, they said like a medium.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're part of the process, even if you don't have the calling card of being, mediumistic in nature. We're all part of the process, especially as an operator. The more time you put in, they know you. You probably do have familiars or operators who are technician or whatever. That's your consistency is what builds that, and that's the intent thing too. That Tony even talked about. Dr. Annabelle Cardoso runs 3 radios when she does direct radio voice, and she asked them one time, "Why do you always come through this one?" They said, "Because that's your favorite."
Wow.
So there's your intention.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you have all that. You have all that going for you too. So that's again, this is not surprising to me.
Yeah, that's awesome too. Just awesome.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think the last 2 setups, Ron, are also where I took the one radio that I got that you suggested, and I was trying the direct radio voice tied into that mixer at the same time, but with an extra line out to just record only the from that radio separate from the mix to try to get some direct radio response voice. I'm still haven't hit that goal yet, but I'm not giving up.
No, that's a good way to do that. That's a really cool way to experiment with. I remember you telling me about that too, and I like that you have 2 things running concurrent.
I think that one I may have had like 3 or 4 things going because I had the whisper box from Andrew Openlander, which is basically just like a white noise loop generator. And then I had the static radio and the RCA reverse speech box, and maybe even a frequency generator in there at some point too. So, and my human skull, I needed that as well.
Yeah.
First thing I noticed, I don't appreciate skulls at all.
Your back wall is full of them.
Yeah.
You should see
How'd those get there?
Yeah. Those are the people who stayed there last.
Yeah. So we make the announcement at the end.
Yeah, I know.
All right, guys, let's go to the next one. I don't want to run out of time and not play all of Matt's clips. So here we go.
Yeah.
What is a ghost? Are ghosts real?
Partnership? Is that what I was hearing?
I was asking about ghosts, and I think that response, they said something about the jinn to get us to worship is, I think, how I heard that.
That's what I heard.
That was really, really bizarre to be talking about ghosts and for the jinn to be brought up,
Wow.
I do ask a question about the jinn in those sessions, but not next to the ghost one. But I thought that was just really weird and interesting.
That is weird.
That's really cool. That's really cool.
Yeah.
There are people who, I remember the late Rosemary Ellen Guiley was an authority on the jinn, and there are people who believe that everything from cryptid stuff to extraterrestrial experiences to things that people think are demonic are all attributable to the jinn.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's hard to know, but that is a high candidate for possibilities for a lot of things. But it's not common to get that name. So I mean, it's interesting that you got that. I would definitely pay attention to that.
Yeah.
I also heard
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I also heard the word Jesus in there. I heard the word Jesus.
Yeah, I definitely brought up Jesus in those sessions as well. Like I said, I went everywhere. We talked about the Nephilim. We talked about angels, the daughters, the daughters, the men, the sons of God, and went for it. Broke out the Book of Enoch.
Wow.
Wow.
That's good though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. It's a nice departure from When Did You Die?
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. I was completely open to the idea that I am not talking to discarnate human souls. I was striving. I was throwing my bait out for something bigger. So trying to draw, that consciousness in just to see how far maybe I could push it.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that possibility always exists too. I heard an interview on a podcast recently with a very renowned medium, and that's what she said. She goes, they asked her how many different types of entities are out there that we can connect with, either metaphysically or technically, whatever else. And she said, it's really something we may never know, that they're not all formally human. And there could be everything from what you call it, land guardians and elementals. That's what I was looking for. Thank you. Elementals, anything. There's a variety of different types of beings it could be. It's hard to know.
Or it's all jinn.
Or it's all jinn. Yeah. Yeah. Or it's a guy from Dubuque named Phil.
Or from Indiana and it's basically
Matthew. Yeah. That's right. It all kind of falls into the ultra terrestrial type of concept. So I'm definitely familiar with what you're talking about.
That's great. The questioning is great. It's very unique, and I think it's important to see what you get doing stuff like that.
It's interesting getting positive responses with educated responses from referencing stuff like the Book of Enoch and stuff like that. It's almost a little disturbing if you think about it.
There's no test not worth testing because we don't know any of the variables and we don't know what's going to come from it. And somebody may give a smirk or a smile like, oh God, why'd they do that? But the fact of the matter is some of the best solutions, some of the best understanding come from tests that were never expected to do anything. Like when penicillin was invented by an orange growing mold. I mean, that's how penicillin was discovered. But so, in the paranormal, because we know 1,000 times less than what we think we know, you can't stop at any test. You got to give it a shot, see what happens.
Right.
Yeah. And I really felt like when I was, doing this experiment, being raised as someone who was taught that everything that's unexplainable is evil, I'm like, I'm going to just roll the dice here, or die in this case, and just see what happens. And then I tried to go, sitting here in the dark, everything from demons to Yahweh to Jesus to Bigfoot, aliens, who killed JFK. I was just throwing every noodle at the wall just because I wanted to see what would happen.
Right.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. The only way you're going to find non-cliche progress is by not doing cliche methodology, by branching out and doing something different. Like Tony said, every test is worth testing. The renowned Philip experiment set out to manifest a spirit that was visibly attainable, that they would see the spirit. In its core, it failed. But they did achieve a lot of other psychical phenomena throughout the experiment in Toronto. But the goal was never attained. They never manifested a spirit they could see. So when Tony said that, that's spot on. And I think when people like you do the work that you do, you're going to find a lot of attributable successes that may not have been part of the roadmap when you started, but they're going to be holy shit moments.
Right.
Yeah. Definitely had a few of those.
Yeah, you're not done.
Yeah.
No.
How many more?
All right, here we go. Next clip.
Next.
Tell me what number I'm getting ready to roll on this die.
Damn it.
Don't damn it me. Just tell me what number I'm going to roll, okay, please? Okay. Well, shit. Yeah, I lost it. Fuck. Shit, let's try that again. All right, what number am I going to roll? All right, 2 more times. What number's next? Try to see if you can, like, look into the future at all, okay? All right, tell me what number. All right, one more time. Give me the number. Come on, give me the number. 4. Come on, give me the number. 4. Wow. I'll give you that one. I will give you that.
It says
Like you get a bunch of smart asses in the basement with you, man.
Yeah.
did you drop that dice?
Yeah. That's
It
why
was
I played
tough.
that clip, because I was so frustrated because I'm down here, and this place is a mess. I'm in the dark, fumbling around with the stupid die. I drop it. It's the, whomever I'm talking to is making fun of me. And so it's just a funny, frustrating moment. And then they got the last one right. I was like, all right, I'll let you have that one.
That's also light. I heard light. Maybe they're
Light?
asking to turn on the light.
Oh, yeah. We all could have used it.
No, you're right.
That's cool.
All right.
Yeah.
Here's the next clip.
Can you tell me where you're from? Are you from Sirius? Procyon? What about Bigfoot or Sasquatch? If Sasquatch is real, everything is what? Everything is real? Are Sasquatches interdimensional beings or flesh and blood? Aliens? Spirits? Or how about Mothman?
Huh.
Yeah, that shit did get brighter.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish you could have seen the full clip, but yeah, I was asking about aliens, and a number of times I was told they were interdimensional. In that clip, they were talking about planets, but then it became like an ongoing joke throughout the cabin sessions that whenever I would bring up Bigfoot, they would like draw the hard line in the sand, like, Matthew, there is no Bigfoot. Stop asking. I mean, month after month. So it really was funny. And I've been doing these slaughter sessions, and I have this Bigfoot book here on my desk, and it's still, I'm doing these slaughter sessions about Skinwalker Ranch, and they're still trying to bring up Bigfoot to me like it's some trigger for me. Well, I just find it hilarious, So yeah, so that was one of those clips. But the lights did get brighter when I asked about.
Oh, yeah, they did.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
In your bunker, did you ever have something come through, Matthew?
Come through my devices. Is that what they mean?
I think they mean
Like
come through spiritually.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, well, there's this portal right behind me that goes like straight down. No. Besides, my original cabin sessions, I had a lot of, I would use candles a lot, and I would get a lot of play with the candle flames. A couple times I thought it was almost like a wind where I thought the flame was going to get extinguished. So I've had a few small manipulations, some EMF spikes. One of the sessions, I know I used the device that came out from Ghost Stop called the Envoy, which is controlled by like electromagnetic fields or like vibrations and so forth. And I had a couple of interesting results with that. So,
Huh.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Okay, we got 3 more.
We can do it.
We can do it.
Do it.
You can do it. Here we go.
Okay, let's move on. Are aliens real? Do aliens visit us? Yes. Are aliens interdimensional? Are aliens from other planets? What is a Bigfoot or Sasquatch? Are Sasquatches real? What's a Sasquatch need? What is Mothman? The flesh or spirit?
That's a good one.
I love the questions. I love the questions.
I
Yeah,
love
thank you.
the one answer you said is Bigfoot real, and it sounded like
Like they're chite.
it sounded like an Eastern Indian guy from 7-Eleven answering you on that. Oh, Bigfoot.
Yeah.
It did sound like that. It did.
Yeah.
The range of questions, though, is fantastic because, like Ron said, it's not your typical "when did you die?" You know, I mean,
Yeah.
it's tests like that will give you a response that you were never expecting. I mean, what if you got some information off of one of those unique questions that started a process that changed everything? You never know. So I commend you for doing tests like that, asking those type of questions. It's really cool.
Yeah.
I second that. I second that. I think if you do the same thing over and over and over again, you get the same results over and over again. Even then, if you're lucky,
Right.
but you're pushing boundaries in different areas, and then you're going to hopefully come across more and more unexpected and new stuff. And those are at least profound questions. If at the very least they speak to your intent for a greater understanding of the world within which you exist.
Right.
That alone is a big deal as far as the questions go, I think.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you.
Right.
Well, and we've said this numerous times. It's just some of the communication we're getting is just people that are spirits that are no longer with their meat suits, and they're probably tired of responding to shaving a haircut, right? It's like how many times can you knock and ask them to say 2 bits before they get tired of answering you? So the different questions is probably why you're getting great responses, because you're not boring them.
Yeah.
I started calling that spectral abuse. Instead of like elderly abuse. You think about these pay-to-play locations like Waverly and so forth. It's like they have to be so tired. If it's real, they have to be so done with us on so many levels.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, especially the hot spots, if you think about it, because you take their damn tour, like at Trans-Allegheny, you take their damn tour. They hit the men's violent ward dean's room is one of the major ones, and then Lily's room on the first floor, and that's the first place everybody heads to. And it's like, no, we got more communication not going into those spots than we did anything else. It's like I'm sure those people are just tired of responding.
Yeah,
I know I would be. You'd be getting a lot of fuck offs from me when I'm a spirit.
Oh, wait till I'm running the planchette at a birthday party. It's on when I'm
That's probably why he's so successful with the die and the cards and stuff like that, because they want to be a part of that.
Right.
They want to be able to do that. So
Yeah.
Well, it occurred to me at one point, it's like a lot of my best EVPs or even some ghost box responses happen when you're not like concentrated on the session, when you're having like general conversation amongst each other. Like they want to be a part of that.
Yeah,
and, to get the laughter out of the devices and so forth. That's when it occurred to me. It's like, why keep, doing the same thing over and over and over,
Right.
Exactly. If you can get them to judge the dice roll just a little bit higher. You go to Vegas, you'll blow Rain Man out of the water.
I'll just come in, set this down, at my table.
Hey,
Questions.
Hey, your Rain Man comes from a box when it comes to
right.
And then when they investigate you, they take Jay Prather to jail, not you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Get that guy.
Or Steve.
Or Steve Holte.
Yeah.
You don't want to go in the jail being called handsome on a ghost box. It's not a good start.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. There's a lot of uniqueness to what you do and how you do it. I think that's the takeaway people should get from this tonight.
Yeah, agree.
I mean, if you think about it, if we truly believe that they live in a timeless state, can you imagine getting the same damn questions over and over again? They've got to be going again, really?
Right.
What the last asshole asked me, now you're asking me again.
Yeah. I really want to talk about my death some more, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Exactly.
It was awesome. Let me tell you.
It was awesome.
It was awesome.
Just waiting for the questions.
Hey, guys, remember that time I died?
You start rolling high, and the Middle Eastern guys in the back collecting bets and giving odds. I mean, all right, we got two more. Here we go.
Yeah.
Yep. We'll do a card shuffle. Okay. I'll lay out the 3 cards. Can you tell me what this first card is? This card right here. Can you tell me what it is before I turn it over? Did you say it? Did you say it? Can you tell me yes or no if you said it? Yeah. Did you say it? Can you tell me yes or no if you said it? Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's turn it over. Lungs. Lungs. Did you say that?
Yes, that was with my tarot deck cards, and the card that was down was a card that said lungs, which is strange, but whatever. And I almost feel like those responses, because one spirit said lungs, then the other one, I believe, like cussed at it for answering the question correctly. And that's where you got the FU. I don't think that was directed at me. I think it was directed at the spirit who said the answer. And so anyway, just another weird moment.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Good
If you give
observation.
the right answers, they'll quit playing with us. Damn it! Stop.
Yeah.
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 All right. So this last clip is the one from your investigation. Unfortunately, it's mirrored,
Okay.
but it's this is the one from your haunted location. So here we go.
Yeah, I think this was with the Forever Box by Katie Holte.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Have one of those. They're really good.
Yeah.
How did you have it set? Was it full reverse, half reverse?
Full reverse.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Here we go.
Your name. What's the name on? What's the name on? What's the name on? What's the name on his head? What was Sarah's husband's name? All right. Moving on. Bye. Well, some of these headstones sure are old. Who's the oldest person? Who's the oldest person buried here? Who's the oldest person buried here? Whoa. Whoa. Yeah, what is it? Alright, I'm getting ready to leave.
Anybody at Hot Patch Liberty Cemetery have a message for me? Anybody have a message?
Wow.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
That was good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wow, that's a lot in that one.
Those names.
Yeah.
Those names that came out.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Right.
And even the mushrooms.
Yeah. The mushrooms.
Yeah.
That little cemetery has kind of been my ITC like proving ground for any box I get. I always take it out there, and that's where I kind of test it. And that one headstone, that Stoughton, no matter which box I take over there, I always get the names off of that the headstone, which is pretty cool. I don't know what it is about that cemetery, but it definitely seems to be charged.
And how crazy to get the oldest one in the cemetery you asked for. That's nuts. That's really Chris DeCesare, the Ghost Boy Geneseo, joined us tonight.
Yeah, and that was correct. That was I didn't know the answer at the time. I had to look it up later. But
wow.
Catherine Tanner.
Yeah,
That's fantastic. I mean, how many stone tombstones we could see? The odds of getting it, and that's if we saw every tombstone that was there. If there's even 5 more to 500 more, or whatever, to get the correct one.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And there's also a guy buried there who served in the Revolutionary War, which I find it wild that a guy who served in the Revolution somehow wound up buried in a cornfield in Indiana. And
that's amazing.
I've had all kinds of interaction at his grave as well. So it's pretty unique.
Huh.
Wow.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
There would have had to been some extenuating or special circumstances for that guy to make it back to Indiana. Because most of those guys were stuck in a giant hole with the rest of them and covered up. That's
right.
I don't think he died in the Revolution. I think he just served, and so and wound up buried in the state.
Okay, well that would make sense. He hobbled home with his one leg, or one arm, one of the two. All right, Matthew, we have reached the point in the show where we call shameless plugs. Tell everybody where you're at, where you can be found, what you got coming up next. Anything you want to tell them, go ahead and tell them this is your time.
Yeah, anybody wants to connect with me, just go to www.paraholics.com. All my social media links are there. I'm currently working on a project with ITC researcher and author April Slaughter, where we're doing like blind ghost box questions concerning Skinwalker Ranch, which is actually leading us to a boots on the ground investigation at Skinwalker. So I'm heading there soon. So exciting stuff. And also real quick, I'll be presenting an ITC workshop at the Haunted America conference in Alton, Illinois this June. So anybody that wants to head to Alton, come check us out and sign up for the workshop. Should be a good time. I'm calling it the Ghost versus the Box, and we're going to talk about all things ghost boxes, how to mess with these noisy things.
That's a catchy title.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And that's cool. I'll urge people watching to go out and support not only you and your work, but to go and definitely learn from you and attend if they can attend, because I'm sure it'll be entertaining. That's for sure.
Try to.
And it is good. It's good for you to take all that experience, especially when you were, when we were all locked down, and you did a lot of stuff to take that and share that with people, to let what you figured out, what you learned, where you think this is going.
Yeah, and actually, do you remember when Bruce Halliday and Steve had their little podcast going for a while? I started listening to them during COVID, and they're the ones that kind of encouraged me, unbeknownst to them, to even sit down and try to find a box that might actually connect in my dungeon. So it, no ideas I have are original. I'm stealing from everybody, but I'm just trying to figure it out, for myself.
That's
wrong with that.
Yeah, you can find innovation from inspiration. Like we didn't create direct radio voice. It was built in Europe before there were ghost boxes, but
Right.
We looked at it and went, well, we should bring this back and see if we can replicate what they got. And now flash forward 4.5 years or so later, and we have the same backdrop as the Rathmans. Who saw that coming?
Well, the stuff that you guys are doing are really, really inspiring. I'm back here in this cornfield trying to figure it out. And Ron, that's why I said we need to get together, because I want to see you in action.
Yeah, well, it would be an honor for us to do it. We got to get together with you at some point.
Yeah.
Which this could probably lead Christoph Allgod to his announcement.
Yes.
Announcement of the night, y'all. So you've all heard me talk about the Montgomery House. We control the investigations. It's the 1830s plantation house here in North Carolina that we've had multiple investigations at. We've caught some great evidence at. But I have got a major announcement coming to you. In 3 weeks, for the first time ever, you will see all 6 EVPE hosts together in North Carolina investigating the Montgomery House.
Yeah.
Yeah, Matt. The oddity is that we met Chris and Audra at Gettysburg, and then we did some direct radio voice with them at the Battlefield Bash almost a year ago.
Yeah.
And then Tony and Cherie, we saw them in Vegas one time at a Paracon. They came out here for the 900 Mansion Tour 2 years ago. But we've never been in the same room collectively with all 6 of us. We've been doing this show over 3 years.
Oh, wow. Very cool.
And I have known Tony and Cherie for years and have done numerous investigations.
Yeah,
with
we
them.
used to live in
So we
Congratulations.
We've all met, just not all together.
All 6 of us together, yeah.
It'd be great.
Yeah, so we're gonna go down there for that weekend in 3 weeks, and so and Matthew, one day we hope to be making the same announcement that we're doing something like that with you, because I think it'd be a blast to work with you, and I think that when you teach people, whatever you teach them at your things, make sure you include thinking outside the box, so to speak, being innovative and looking for different approaches, because I think your approach to doing this stuff, you may inspire someone who does make the next big breakthrough, because they weren't just following the blueprint, the cookie cutter that everybody, may acquire from television.
Yeah, and I try to keep in mind that I feel like I have a couple different hats. You have the paranormal investigator, but then this whole ITC thing, which I'm particularly, fond of and drawn to. I mean, sky's the limit.
Yeah.
And you've got a great sense of asking outside questions, and like Ron said, the cookie cutter box that was created about 15, 18 years ago when the shows came out, no one, or very few, I shouldn't say no one, very few stray from that method, and that's not the way to come up with new breakthroughs. It's a way to stagnate it, and unfortunately, that's exactly what's occurred. So, love your style, love the questions you ask, the way you go about it. So, keep doing that.
Well, yeah, I appreciate it. And I felt like if any show would appreciate the weirdness and the uniqueness of what I'm trying to do, I knew you guys would get it. So
Right here.
thank you so much for having me on.
We're weird. We like it.
Yep.
No.
It's weird. We do, Matthew.
Yeah.
Our pleasure. Our pleasure.
That was a compliment, by the way.
Oh yeah.
No,
We are one of the few people in this world that are 6 of the few people in this world that take that as an extreme compliment. So.
Absolutely.
yeah.
We're here for all our fellow weirdos.
Yeah. I know you mentioned April Slaughter maybe possibly joining you. So, but if you want to come back with her, or if you want to see if you can, hook her up to come on the show with us, we'd be more than happy to do that too. If she's got your vote, we're interested.
Yeah, maybe we can come on after we get back from Skinwalker.
Definitely.
Awesome.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Ron.
Yeah, that would be. You have a lot of Ronald Anthony Seminelli. He brings delicacies from Queens
every time he goes to an investigation.
He does.
Yeah. He's a fun guy.
All right, guys, I want to reach out and thank everybody for tuning in again. Thanks to Matthew for drawing in that major audience that we had tonight.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Great.
guys.
Thank you for sharing your great evidence with us, Matthew.
It was a good time. Thank you
Rest
so
of
much.
us weirdos, yes.
Yeah.
Thanks everybody for tuning in. Make sure you tune in next week, same time, same channel, same 6 people. Matthew won't be here, but hey, sorry.
Sorry.
All right, guys. Remember, if you want to sit in your basement, you want to talk to spirits, you got to play games. You got to make sure you throw some card tricks in there. You got to ask some interesting questions. You got to have cojones big enough to pull a dump truck, but most of all, you got to stay haunted. All right, guys. We'll see you next week.
Night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Can you give me a name? What's your name?